Welcome to 100 Days of Medieval Dynasty. In this game you hunt, farm, gather, craft and fight bandits, but most importantly, build your own town, recruit villagers and get them to do all the hard labour while you sit back and enjoy the coins flowing into your pocket while your settlement expands and expands. I really like this game. The progress of your little village getting bigger and bigger is really satisfying, and there's always something to do. I'm playing the game on a PS4, so at times the frame rate is horrible, but I don't mind too much. I do recommend playing on a PC or current gen console if you do want to play the game yourself. Anyway, I'm going to be playing for 100 days. Let's get started. The game begins with the opening cinematic, but I really wasn't following the story. I just wanted to build my town. So I'm going to skip through this intro real fast, and then we're going to get into it. I spawned in the middle of a forest, turned around and immediately found some rye, a straw hat and a bronze sickle. I then started walking towards the nearby town of Gostovia, picking up sticks and collecting stones along the way. After some walking and gathering, I could see the town through a clearing in the forest. I walked through the town following my quest marker and met this man named Unigost. I spammed X to get through the dialogue, and now I have a quest to make an axe. I visit the vendor on my way out and sell my scythe and hat for an easy buck. I pick up some stones when I get out of town, make an axe and cut some trees. I craft a hammer with the fallen logs, then run down to the river to pick some straw. I pick a lot of straw because I know I'm going to need it later, so I stock up. I walk back through town and give this kid a stick for quest reasons, and then turn in the quest. After turning in the quest, I ran through the forest back to where I spawned and found an open clearing. I said to myself, hey, this seems like a pretty good spot to build. So I did. I laid the foundation for a house and then started collecting stones. After picking up the stones, I laid them down as foundation and started cutting some trees. I picked up the logs and took them to my house and started building. I needed more logs to finish the house, so I went out and cut some more trees. While chopping, I unlocked a new building, a well. I went back and forth, chopping wood and working on my house. After a little while, I was working on the last few walls and I was finished. No time to celebrate though. I immediately placed the foundation for a well and got to building. I needed more logs, so I went out and got some, and before I knew it, the well was finished. I had a drink from the well as a reward for finishing, then started building a resource storage. After placing the foundation, I went out to pick up some stones. I then built the foundation. I gathered some more logs, then I built a rabbit trap. I added the logs to my build, but still needed more. I returned with more logs, but again, I needed more. I picked up more logs, got over encumbered, and slowly walked back. Oh my gosh, please go faster. When I finally got to the storage, I added the materials I had, then went out again to get more. After some more building, I ran out of materials and took a step back to appreciate how productive the day was before going to sleep. Woke up on day 2. It was raining torrentially, but I decided to start the day strong anyway. I cut a bunch of trees and finally finished my resource storage. I craft some spears and a stone knife, then used the spears to kill a crow. I picked up my spear, then I skinned the crow. Afterwards I decided to make a woodshed, so I placed the foundation and got to building. After a bit of time, I finished the shed and leveled up my production. I placed the foundation for another house and got to building. I finished the house, then I went to the woodshed to make some planks. I used the planks straight away to make a wash tub, cause I'm a dirty boy. Unfortunately, I don't have any buckets, so I can't fill it up to clean myself, but I have it for later. I decided to go to Gostovia, and I found an abandoned cart on the way. I picked up all the flax and 2 bronze sickles and continued to Gostovia. I took the extremely long way and got distracted by my desire to hunt. I hunted some deer and then eventually made my way towards Gostovia. When I made it to the town, I went into a house and talked to a guy who had a side quest for me. Apparently, he has a hole in his roof and he needs straw to fix it. Fortunately, I have a butt ton of straw in my inventory, so I give him some to fix it. I then walk up to a merchant, buy a few buckets of water, and sell the 2 scythe I found earlier. There was this dude named Nyrod sitting next to a campfire, and I ask him to join my town, and he says yes immediately. I assign him the job as a lumberjack at the woodshed, and I give him the house that I'm not using. I sprint back home, give Nyrod some water and food before going to bed. Alright, that's enough boom sound effect. Day 3 begins, and it's a beautiful sunny day. Happy days. I check on my first villager Nyrod, then think about what I should do today. I can't build anymore because I need to finish my quest, and to finish my quest I need to wait till the next day. So instead of building, I gathered materials in preparation for building tomorrow. I picked up a ton of stones, I picked up a ton of sticks, then went to Gostovia to accept some quests. I then travelled back home, killing this bird along the way, then decided to go hunting because there were so many deer right next to my town. I killed a deer, and then another, and then a crow, and then a rabbit, and then I checked my trap, and there was another rabbit. I went back home after a successful hunt. I filled my wash tub because I was dirty. I cleaned up, then roasted some meat over the fire. Afterwards, I cut some trees for extra materials and picked up some stones and sticks before going to sleep. Day 4 was the first day of summer. Not only does the world look different, but I can continue the main quest. I still can't build any new buildings, so I walked towards Gostovia in hopes to complete more quests. On the way, I found a treasure that was dug up, and it had some coins in it for me. Once I got to town, I flirted with Ed Burger before talking to Unigos to progress the story. I then talked to Alwyn to progress his story. Afterwards, I walked for about 5 minutes to get to the next town over, killing a deer along the way. I walked into Denica, then talked to the seamstress that Alwyn wanted me to talk to fix his water skin. She needs leather, so she wants me to kill some deer and boar. Before I leave town to get some, I start a quest and immediately turn it in. I leave town, cut some trees to make some spears, and found a boar. I was pretty nervous to fight it because I was scared to die, but I think it went pretty well. After killing the boar, I went out and looked for another. I ran into a second boar, had a fight with it, killed it, skinned it, then went into town to turn in the quest. On the way home, I look for a fox. I find one, but it runs away from me and I fail to kill it. Oh man. I run through the forest looking for another, but no luck. I run into an abandoned campsite with an iron axe. A big find for this early in the game. Then I loot the rest of the materials I find at the camp before leaving to look for the fox again. I find him, but he dodges my spear and then runs away. I lose him, then run through the forest looking for another fox. After a while of walking, I finally find him and begin an intense battle trying to kill this damn fox. Come back! Come back! Die! Die! Die, you stupid fox! Die! Oh! Oh shit! Yeah! Die! Yeah! I broke all my spears during the fight and had to finish it with my knife. Then I skinned it, then walked to Alwyn to hand in his quest. I ran all the way home, then started building a hunting lodge. I went through the usual process of picking up stones and building the foundation, but since I had Nyrod working as a lumberjack, I had plenty of logs in storage, so I quickly built the house. Completing the hunting lodge also progressed my quest, allowing me to build more buildings. So I placed the foundation for a house and I built that too. After such a productive day, I hit the hay and went to bed. Day 5 was a very productive day. I ran to town and bought some seeds, saw this abomination, and then went home. I set up a crop plot, grubbed the dirt with my hoe, fertilized the field, plowed the fertilizer, then planted some cabbages. I set up the foundation for a farm shed, which allows your villagers to help you farm. I also set down the foundation for a barn. I built both of the foundations and both of the framing. After a bit of time, I eventually finished off the farm shed and finished off the barn. I placed the foundation for a food storage and got to building that too. After adding the finishing touches, I laid down the foundation for a workshop. I built the foundation, built the framing, built the roof, and the workshop was finished. I had a drink because I was thirsty, then decided to build another woodshed for more wood production. I finished my second woodshed and then got to work on another house. Soon that was finished too, and I really got to thank Nyrod because that man collected a lot of wood for the cause. I collected some sticks because I was running low, washed up, and then turned it in for the night. Day 6. The last day of summer, I wanted to be productive. I travelled to Gustovia, recruited Edburger and Grimilda. I put Edburger to work as a hunter, and I wanted Grimilda to be an herbalist, but I didn't have a herbalist hut, so I went to build one. After finishing the hut, I ran to Borrower and recruited another villager, Griselda. I put her to work in the farm shed, then talked to this merchant to pick up a hoe for Alwyn. I ran back to Gustovia, gave Alwyn his hoe, and progressed his quest. When I got home, I made an orchard plot and planted 2 apple trees I found in the forest. After planting the trees, I start building another house. When the house is finished, I stroll through town, roast some meat, then say hi to Grimilda. What's up with you, Grimilda? How you doing? How you doing? Oh shit, sorry. I then called it a night and ended the day. Day 7 was the first day of fall. Unfortunately, it was raining all day. I ran past my growing cabbages and picked up sticks on my way to Gustovia. Basically, anywhere I'm going, I pick up sticks because I always seem to run out. I saw the cows freaking out again, and then I accepted a quest in town. Afterwards, I left Gustovia, went to Borrower, and recruited Waldemar. I put him to work as my second lumberjack. I ran back to Gustovia, bought some fish from the vendor, then turned it in to complete my side quest. I talked to Alwyn and he started following me. We walked to the next town over, but first I made a pit stop to pick up some straw. After picking up a load of straw, we keep walking to town and we talk to this dude. Alwyn and I follow the quest marker and we stop off in Denica along the way. I buy a large backpack from a vendor which adds 20 kilos to my weight limit. Then we keep following the quest marker until I run into an abandoned cart. Conveniently, I find a bow. We make it to town and I recruit, Idefonza? Then we talk to this lady and I get Alwyn a bow. I go to leave and... What? Alwyn, get out the way! No way. Alwyn, move! I start getting worried because I'm completely trapped in this building, but eventually I talk to Alwyn through the wall somehow and he leaves. He gave me 20 arrows as a reward after trapping me and I go home. On the way, I find the straw hat and decide to test out my new bow. I kill a moose, skin it, then take on a wisent. I don't really know what a wisent is, but it looks like a buffalo to me. After killing the buffalo, I run into a wolf, which I take out in one shot. I run all the way home in the dark, then tuck myself into bed because it's getting late. Day 8. It's raining again, but I hope to have a productive day anyway. I leave my town to find a beard to progress my mission. I look around for a bit, but eventually find one. I take him on and... Yeah, I may have died. But after an excruciatingly long loading screen, I got to have another go. And, I died again. Oh. I sit through the painful loading screen again, and then give it another go. I finally kill the stupid bear, and I skin it. 3rd time's a charm. I go inside the cave the bear was guarding, and it has ore inside, but I need a pickaxe to mine it. I gather materials for the pickaxe, make a pickaxe, and then enter the mine, and mine as much as I can. After mining, I slowly haul all my goods home. I'm encumbered, so I'm moving pretty damn slow. Just a slow, scenic walk home. It was a very slow walk home. After the journey, I deposit my goods, and then start working on a kitchen. After putting it all together, I'd finished my kitchen. Straight away, I started building another house. I got to work and finished quickly. Then I placed down the blueprint for a fence and built it for aesthetic purposes. When I finished the fence, I started making some tools for my people. I made some bags, I made some hoes, and I made some axes. I then put together a smithy, and I smelted some copper. Then it was getting late, so I went to bed. Day 9. Day 9 was a sunny fall day. I spent the morning ploughing my fields, hunted a crow, and then made my way towards Gustovia. When I got there, I tried to talk to the vendor, but he turned me away because I was too stinky. I went to the river to wash off, and I killed a duck. I held my breath and skinned it underwater, then went back to Gustovia. I went to the vendor again, sold some meat, sold some feathers, and bought some fertilizer. I also bought 2 cherry tree seedlings to plant next to my apple trees. I ran home, planted my cherry trees, and organized my crop fields. I then got to work on a new house. After a bit of work, the house was all finished and I got to work on an excavation shed. I finished building that too, then helped plow the fields. After some strenuous plowing, I recruited Nadbor and Nawoja. I set them both to work at the excavator's shed to collect stone and straw. I went back home, made some pickaxes for my villagers to use, then roasted some meat. I flirted with Grimilda for a bit, then went to bed. Day 10. It was the start of winter and I was freezing my ass off all day. I wanted to make copper arrows but couldn't afford the blueprint, so I went out hunting in hopes to make some profit. I killed a couple of deer, skinned them, killed a crow, skinned that too, then found an abandoned cart. I found some valuable wine and some hop seedlings to plant. I ran through the forest and found a buffalo. After a pretty intense battle, I killed it and skinned it too. I ran back home, roasted some meat, and built another orchard so I could plant my hop seedlings. After planting, I went to Gustovia and accepted this quest from this dude who was spazzing out. I sell all my goods, then go back home. I buy the blueprint for copper knife and copper arrow, make some buckets, and then go to bed. Day 11. I woke up and went to see Grimilda and started flirting. I need a wife one day and she might be the one. I kill some crows, then run to Gustovia to turn in a quest. I then run to Borrower, start a side quest, and then immediately turn it in. I recruit this dude Hunimir and get him to work at the workshop. I talked to Alwyn, then saw this dude on the way home. Hey buddy. I made some arrows, roasted some meat, then made a torch. I wanted some ore, so I went towards the mountain hoping to get into the mine. The mine was guarded by 2 bears, so I decided to be sneaky and try and sneak into the mine. I went around the mountain and found these cool figurines, then I scaled down the cliff and snuck into the mine. I mined for a while, leave the cave, climb the mountain the way I came down, and go home. When I get back, I smelt some ore, cut some trees to try level up my extraction a bit, then turn it in for the night. Day 12, the last day of the year. I chop wood pretty much all day. I don't really need the wood. I have 2 lumberjacks in my town who work 24/7, but I want to level up my extraction skill because the next perk I can get increases my carrying weight. After chopping so much wood, I walk through my path of destruction and start transporting the logs back to my resource storage. After a couple of trips back and forth, I start working on 3 houses. After placing the foundations, I get to building. I worked well into the afternoon, then went to bed. Day 13. First day of the new year. I woke up, unsuccessfully flirted with Grimilda, then felt real sad. I built a hunting lodge to alleviate the pain. I tried to decorate my house with the wooden figurines I found, but quickly gave up to do something more productive. Because it was the new year, I had taxes to pay, but I was broke, so I went to Gustovia to try and make some money. I sold a bunch of meat and feathers, accepted a side quest, then went out to hunt. I killed a couple boar, gathered their meat, and then turned it in to complete the side quest. I picked some straw because I was running low, ran to Borrower, and recruited Bogner. I set her to work as a hunter, then ran back home. I made some pickaxes, axes, and knives for my people, then started construction on a second resource storage because I was running low on space. Once I finished up the building, it was getting late, so I went to bed. Day 14. I forgot to hit record, but all I missed was flirting with Grimilda in the morning. Here's an accurate depiction of what happened. What's going on, Grimilda? Anyway, I build a sewing hut. After I'd finished, I ran into the forest and hunted a moose. I unorthodoxly killed it, then continued to run through the forest. Oh shit! What was that? While running, I got ambushed by a Wisent, so I had to take him out. After I kill it, I continue running through the forest, then run into a wolf. I nearly died trying to kill it, but I skin it and then walk away. I find a copper shovel in an abandoned cart before going to Gustovia. I sell some goods and have just enough to pay my taxes. I run back home, roast some meat, and go hunting again. I MMA this deer, kill a couple more, and kill a fox before going home. I roast all the meat, had a drink of water, and went to bed. Day 15. I wake up to another sunny spring day. Try to talk to Grimilda, but I'm too stinky. I quickly have a bath and shoot my shot again. Afterwards, I make some copper knives, run to Gustovia, sell them, then run back home. I make a new crop plot and help tend the fields. I leave town, hunt an eagle and a rabbit, before running towards Denica. When I get to Denica, I recruit Huberta, then start walking home. On the way, I find an abandoned cart with a knife and a water skin. I keep walking and find another cart with some iron ore. I remember I haven't set my field, so I organize them. I keep walking and find another cart with some valuables. I walk to Gustovia, sell all my goods, then walk home. When I get home, I build a pigsty. I put it all together, the pigsty was finished, and I went to bed. Day 16. It's a beautiful sunny summer's day. I asked Grimilda to be my wife and... we get married, I immediately ask to have a child, and she is down. I run to Gustovia, recruit Neradka, and put her to work as a hunter. I accept a quest to make an axe for this dude, pick up a stone, and build the axe. After handing it in, I accept another quest, and be on my way. For the quest, I need to kill 4 wolves, so I got to hunting. After killing 2 wolves, I went to Borrower. I recruited Majnard and Bolmira, then started the arduous journey towards Denica. When I make it to town, I recruit Casimira and Otto. I stock up on fertilizer, then leave town. On the way home, I kill this boar and find this dug up chest. I run into a wolf and start pummeling it with arrows. It starts to run away, so I chase it down and keep shooting it, but my bow breaks, so I run away like a coward. When I make it back to my now quite expansive town, I make some firewood for the people, go to see my wife, and we get to porking, if you know what I mean. Day 17. After a hot and steamy night, it's a hot and sunny day, and my wife gives me a berry juice. I lay down the plan for an excavation shed and get to building. When I finish, I set it together exclusively straw so I don't have to get it myself. I then decide to build another hunting lodge, so I place down the plan and build it up. After finishing, I make some extra knives for my hunters and make some pottage and meat with gravy to sell for cash. I make my way towards Gustovia, sell my pottage and meat and gravy, and buy some fertilizer for the road. I then go back home, start placing the foundation for more accommodation, and I get a trophy for expanding my town. After placing 4 foundations, I get to building all the houses. It takes a long time, but I keep building until the sun goes down. I eventually run out of materials, but I collect more and then keep building. I finally finish up the last house, have a drink of water as a reward, then go to bed. Day 18. I immediately run to Gustovia and start selling some leftover pottage. After making some money, I leave Gustovia and go out to hunt some wolves. I jump on this fence and the wolf gets confused. I fight and kill another wolf, then start running a heck of a long way until I reach Denica. I buy a large pouch to further increase carrying capacity. I leave Denica, then go hunting. I kill a boar, skin it, then kill another boar. I go after a moose, and I have definitely found the most efficient way to kill it. I run through the forest looking for more animals, find this unfortunate bird, and then go after another moose. After the moose, I got a sneaky boar, and then made my way back to Gustovia. I turn in the quest for killing the wolves, then progress another by talking to this lady.
How is life? Have a good day.
I ran all the way home and made some knives because my hunters seem to go through them like butter. I visit my wife at work to check in on her before doing some chores around town. I make bags for my farmers, make some buckets for water, and level up production. I pick up the figurines I tried to decorate my house with, and then I go outside. I take some time to appreciate the afternoon before going to bed. Day 19. My wife has been having pregnancy cravings, so I set off to get her some meat and eggs. When I get to Gustovia, I recruit Skarbamira and put her to work in the kitchen. Because her production skill is high, no other reason. I accept a quest in town before leaving towards Borrower. When I get there, I buy some eggs for my wife and recruit Samagost and Falabog. I set them to work in the sewing hut and excavation shed. I took a long walk following a quest marker and found a lonely cabin in the woods. I talked to this dude, Sambor, and he wants me to dig up clay outside his house. After digging, I found this strange deer figurine. I found a few more and then went back to digging. After digging, I found the motherload of deer figurines, then turned in the quest. The bro yapped for an extremely long time before asking me to deliver a knuckle sandwich. I walked back to Gustovia, attempt to hand in the knuckle sandwich and get a new quest from Unigost. I cut a tree, picked up the log, and gave it to Alwyn. He led us down to the river and built an archery target. I showed him I was an absolute beast with the bow, a true bow master, and he wanted to learn himself. I sold all the figurines I found and bought some fertilizer before heading home. When I got back, I gave my wife some meat and eggs to satisfy her pregnancy cravings. I put down the blueprint for a workshop too, and got to building. I had to make some planks to finish the roof, but afterwards, I went to bed. Day 20. Today I decided I wanted to buy some pigs, so I travelled all the way to the most northwestern city on the map. I stopped in an abandoned cart to pick up a bronze sickle, then kept walking towards Pigtown. I finally arrived in the town after walking a long ass time, and recruited Modley Boga and Emerica. I walked up to the piggy and bought him for an exorbitant price. I bought another piggy so they could make piggy babies. This guy said the rye delivery has gone awry, so I left town and went into the forest to see if I could find what happened. After doing a bit of searching, I followed this creek and found the injured courier. I walked all the way home, fed my pigs, and just look at these guys. Oh man, they're so cute. Anyway, after the long journey home, I make some pottage, make some extra stone knives, have a bath, then go to bed. Day 21. It was a sunny last day of fall, and I started the day by building a new house. After building, I started heading towards Gustovia. When I arrived, these villagers were looking at me funny, but I decided to sell my goods anyway. I bought some oat grain, some pear trees, and some plum trees. I walked back home and the frame rate struggled when I planted these pear trees. I built another orchard for the plum trees, hoed the ground, and planted the trees. I decided to make some firewood because my villagers hoe through logs during the winter and I want to use those logs for something else. I built some stone sickles before deciding to go to the mine. When I got there, I took out the bear who was trying to run away from me. Then went into the mine to mine a bunch of ore. I headed home, smelted the ore, and cooked some meat. Afterwards, I quickly built another log shed, had a drink, then went to bed. Day 22. There was a wedding in the change of seasons and all my villagers are happy about it. I woke up to a town filled with snow and I'm freezing my ass off. My pregnant wife is worried about our baby and asks me to find an herbalist. The nearest herbalist is all the way in the northwest corner of the map in Pigtown. So I leave my town and make my way over. After a long walk, I get to town and I accept a quest from this dude. I then find the herbalist, speak to her, and she starts to follow me. I chop some trees for my side quest, and once I cut 10, I complete the mission. The herbalist and I start running back towards my town. On the way, I recruit Nye Stanka, great name by the way, and she becomes an excavator. I fill up my water skin, then keep running back to my town. When I finally get home, I speak to my wife, and she did not need an herbalist. Apparently, it was just indigestion. After the mission, I make some pottage, roast some meat before going to town. I turn in my rye delivery quest, then sell some pottage. I walk down to the river to see Alwyn and he challenges me to a competition. I easily beat him and get 100 coins for my troubles. I walk to Borrower and solve some easy riddles to win a scythe back for Unigost. I deliver it to Unigost in Gustovia, then walk back home. I then turn into bed after a productive day. Day 23. It's another cold winter's day, but I start the day strong by making some wooden bowls, some stew, some tools for my villagers, and some torches. I run to Gustovia, make some profit, and buy some pear trees. After I get home, I plant the trees, then head towards the mine. As usual, there's a bear guarding the mine, so I try and take him out. I ran out of arrows, but I was feeling brave, so I axed him. After dealing with the bear, I went into the mine and mined. I went back home, smelted the ore, and made some stew before heading towards Gustovia again. I sold my goods, went back home, and cleaned up after the pigs. I made some fertilizer thanks to the pigs, some copper knives for my hunters, roasted some meat, had a drink, then went to bed. Day 24, the last day of the year. I didn't want to do much more building because I didn't want my taxes to be too high next year, so I refrained from building. I cut some firewood, made some wooden bowls before heading to the mine. I went inside the cave and mined a bunch of ore. Afterwards, I went back home. On the way, I found an abandoned cart with some potions. When I got back, I smelted my ore and had a bath. I decided to make a fire pit in the center of my town so my villagers have a place to hang out. I put seats all around it, then tested it out. This is nice. I put some more seats around town so my villagers can relax. I stood back and appreciated my work before building a fence around an orchard. After placing the blueprint, I built it up. When I completed the fence, I said hi to Samagost, then went to see my wife at work. I took the evening off and hung out with my villagers by the new fire. I went to bed, ended the year, and... my son was born, and I named him Jan. Day 25. It's now year 3 and a sunny day. My wife wants me to build furniture around town, but before I do that, I make a new field for some crops, grab my hoe and grub up the ground. I organize the field with oats, rye and carrots. After which I head to Gustovia, pay my taxes, then head back home. I place some baskets, then place furniture around town for my wife. I tell her about it, then build a smithy too. I make some planks to finish the roof of the smithy. Immediately after finishing, I build a small house. Then when that's done, I build another woodshed. After finishing, I'm low on sticks, so I go out to pick some up. I want to make another house, so I get to building. I run out of logs, so I cut some trees to finish the house. I roast some meat, see all my villagers hanging out, catch a bit of the sunset, then go to bed. Day 26. I walk to Borrower, recruit a lark and Bertol. I set them to work in the smithy and farm shed. I walk northeast through the forest until I get to Sambor's house. I talk to Sambor and agree to help him find an owl outside his house. It takes me a long time searching this tiny area, but after a while, I find this guy. Apparently he's getting paid to make owl noises to annoy Sambor. I really respect the hustle. I tell him to go away and then report into Sambor. Afterwards, I walk west to the next town over, Baranica. When I get there, I recruit Gerada and Unimir. I run to the river next to Gustovia and meet up with Alwyn. He challenges me to kill a bear and I am down. I quickly run back home to make some arrows, then run to the mine. As expected, the bear was guarding the mine, so I tried to take him out. I horrifically die, then have to sit through this long loading screen. When the game loads, I try again, and I swear I pumped like 10 arrows in him, but this bear is a unit. I get in a bad spot and try to run away, but I get stuck on a rock and mauled to death. After I waste 2 minutes of my life loading back up, I give it another go. I try to be a bit more careful this time, and after a few shots, the bear starts running away. Luckily he gets stuck on a rock and he's an easy target. He breaks free, runs away again, but unfortunately for him gets stuck again, and I take him out. After an easy mission with 0 hiccups, I run back to Alwyn to tell him the good news. I think I may have crushed his dreams. He quits being a hunter and gives me his longbow. What a successful day. I run home and go to bed. Day 27. I spent the morning picking up sticks and stones to make some knives. Then I made yet another woodshed for more wood production. Doing so got me a trophy for expanding my village. I walked through town a bit, cleaned the pig shed, and made some fertilizer. I saw this pig sitting down and, oh man, he's so cute. I took a moment to appreciate how cute these fellas are. I ran to Gustovia, bought some seeds, then ran straight back home. When I got back, I washed up, had a drink, then made some tools. I helped my villagers plant some seeds, then decided to build a house. When I finished, I went to say hi to the piggies again, and I can't get over it. They're just too adorable. I love these guys. After saying hi to my piggies and appreciating my town, I made some tools with my remaining materials. I left town to pick up more sticks and stones, made some more axes, talked to my wife, then went to bed. Day 28. The first day of summer was a sunny day. My first trees had finally grown. I helped my villagers harvest the fields and I got a trophy. After picking up carrots, I picked up cabbages, then cut some flax. I then beat up the flax and made linen thread. I walked to Gustovia, recruited Misko and made him an excavator. Afterwards, I bought some seeds and inspected these geese. What's going on, fellas? I ran home and built a goose house. While building, I ran into this little guy. I finished building and did some cooking. A lot of cooking, actually. Then I had a drink and went to bed. Day 29. Another sunny summer's day. I saw this lady sweeping really fast in my town. Then I headed to Gustovia to sell pottage and buy some geese. I bought animal feed for them as well, then went home to get more pottage. I had a bath, checked in on my new geese, then went back to Gustovia. On the way I found some treasure, then sold more pottage so I could afford another goose. I ran back home, got some items to sell, then ran back to Gustovia. I sold everything, bought another goose, and then went back home for the last time. I make some knives and walk to the sewing hut. I look through all the recipes to see what I can make the most profit off and decide to become a boot seller. I say hi to my little piggies again before going to bed. Day 30. It was a sunny day and I wanted to progress some quests. I went to Gustovia to see Alwyn, and after talking to him, I decide to see the Master Bowman. She lives quite far, so I get to walking. On the way, I hunt a wolf, skin it, then find a dug up chest. After I take the coins, I make my way to Denica. I accept the quest, make 2 axes for the guy, then hand them in. I recruit Ludgarda and make her an excavator before continuing my journey. On the way, I hunt a wolf, and then another. I kill 2 birds, then make it to my destination. I progress through the quest by talking to the Master Huntsman. I recruit Edita and Wiltruda, and unbelievably, I don't have any houses for them, so I go back home to build some houses. On the way, I hunt 2 boar, then I make it home. I get to building the 2 new houses for my 2 new villagers. Then I start on a hunting lodge too. After finishing the lodge, I roast some meat. My wife hands me an entire bucket of water because I'm thirsty. I have a bath and then go to bed. Day 31. I woke up and my wife wanted to hear a story, so I spammed through all the options and I told her something. After telling the story, I go outside to a dark, gloomy fall. I help farm by picking up all these cabbages. My inventory gets full, so I put some away, then I farm more cabbages. I make some pottage and accept a quest from Edburger. I make 2 wooden spears and give them to her. I walk to Gustavia to talk to Alwyn, and he wants a recurve bow, the hardest one to make, of course. I walk around the corner to the vendor, sell my pottage, and then go home. I collect from the Goose house, clean up the pigsty, then make some pottage. I walk all the way to Denica, and when I get there, sell my pottage. I now have almost 8,000 coins. I run back home and get ambushed by 2 wolves. I then take on a moose and put him to sleep with this killer body shot. I then run home, make some boots, and go to bed. Day 32. The rain cleared overnight and it's a sunny fall day. I put down the plan for a resource storage 2, I pick up quite a few stones, and I get to building. My storage keeps getting full, so I'm hoping this building will solve my problem. I have to make some planks to finish the roof, and before I know it, the resource shed was done. I build another house straight away. When I finish, I go into a hunting lodge. I buy an exorbitantly priced recurve bow blueprint, then build the bow for Alwyn. I do some cooking, make some wooden bowls, and do more cooking. I run to Gustavia and give Alwyn his recurve bow. He's thankful and he leaves the valley. I then walk to Borrower and sell some goods. I recruit Dieter and put him to work in the farm shed. I walk northwest to the next town over, and once I get to Baranica, I take a look at the villages, but none of them have the skills I need for my town, so I keep walking to the next town over. Once I reach Branica, I recruit Miteswin and put him to work as a hunter. I keep walking west to the next town, Tutski, take a look at the donkeys they're selling, and recruit Nargod and put him to work in the barn. It's getting quite late, so I start walking home. I get distracted by these boar and take them out. It's getting quite dark now, so I start sprinting home. When I get back, it's basically pitch black, but I stumble my way to bed and go to sleep. Day 33. I woke up and got to crafting. I made knives, I made axes, I made wooden bowls, and I made pottage. After so much crafting, my production leveled up to level 10 and I got a trophy. I started building a new house. I wanted a nice looking house that overlooked the town. I finished up and it was looking good. I had a bath and then built a well outside my new house so I could easily drink water. I did some decorating by placing some baskets, some log seats, a washing tub, and a fire. Now I think it's looking pretty nice. I put down more baskets and then an archery target in the backyard. I make some fertilizer, smack some oat grain, and roast some meat. I go out hunting. It's not the most successful hunt I've ever done. I only kill 2 rabbits, then it starts to get late, and I go home and go to bed. Over the season change, there's an event, and I pay some money to improve my hunting. Day 34. I take off all my clothing to attempt an achievement where I survive winter without wearing anything. I talk to Modley Boga and accept a hunting quest. I leave the town to go hunting. While walking, I find an abandoned cart with a couple of sickles. I keep walking until I find a boar. After killing the boar, I find an abandoned camp. It has an iron axe, iron arrows, a recurve bow, and some clothing. I kill a boar right next to camp before taking the rest of the valuables. I leave the camp and run into a wolf. After killing the wolf, I take on a moose. I give him a knock to the head and then see a wolf chasing a rabbit. I take out the wolf, then get another hiding in a bush before going home. I turn in the quest, then run to Gustavia. I recruit Odo and put him to work in the workshop before selling some pottage and going home. I find an abandoned cart and some goods right next to my town. I make a new orchard, grub up the land, and plant some trees. I chill out by the fire and then go to bed. Day 35. Another cold day, not wearing clothing. I picked up sticks and stones to make tools for my workers. Afterwards, I saw my villagers looking at stones. Kind of a weird hobby, but I suppose I support it. I make some pottage, have a bath, and then make my way towards Denica. I kill a bird on the way, then keep walking until I find an abandoned cart. I gather up all the goop and make my way to Denica. I sell a bunch of goods, recruit Helmet, and put him to work in the farm shed. I recruit Norberta as well and put her to work in a hunting lodge, then sell the rest of my goods before accepting a quest in town. I then pick up stones and cut trees for logs. Once I have all the materials, I hand in the quest. After finishing the mission, I leave Denica and head home. On the way I do some hunting, killing a deer, a fox, a badger, a moose, and a boar. The sun begins to set, so I make my way home. When I get back to my town, I go to bed. Day 36. Yet another cold winter's day. I spend the morning building, starting with a house. I get a trophy for increasing the size of my town, and continue building. When I complete the house, I start on another smithy. I quickly build that too, and then do some chores around town. After cooking and crafting, I head to Gustovia, but all the vendors are broke.
Whatever you need.
I make my way to Borrower to sell my goods there instead. I want to continue the main quest, so I walk to Sambor's house, killing a wolf along the way. When I get there, I talk to Sambor, and he tells me to deliver a package. I begin walking west following the quest marker, and kill a lynx along the way. I get a trophy for killing every type of animal in the game. I get to Baranica, and as I'm passing through, I take a look at the villagers, but none of them have the skills I need. I leave Baranica and get to Branica, and am once again disappointed by unskilled workers. I leave Branica, head to Tutski, and once I get there, I hand in the package. The guy wants me to talk to his wife, and she wants me to kill a cow. I do so without questioning and finish the quest. I leave the town and do a little bit of murder on the way back home. When I finish the extremely long run home, I get to bed. Day 37. I didn't get the achievement for surviving winter with no clothing, so I get dressed and talk to my wife. She wants to have a romantic night together, and hey, I'm down. I leave my town and head towards Gustovia. When I get there, I recruit Leonarda and make her a huntress. I talk to Unigos to continue the main story, then talk to him again to pay my yearly taxes. I talk to a child and he wants an axe, a literal axe. I make him one cause why not, and complete the quest. I run back home, talk to my wife, and she now wants me to go to Branica to sort out some drama. I walk through town and accept a quest to make some arrows. I quickly make them and hand it in. I leave town, kill a boar, and make my way towards Branica. When I get there, I talk to her and convince her to join my town. She's kind of a beast. Her skills are way better than any of my other villages. I put her to work in the Goose house and then make my way home. I take a detour to see Sambor, and now he wants some crops. I walk home for real this time. When I get home, I turn in the quest to my wife. She thanks me, and I go to bed. Day 38. I wake up and start building a house. After some speedy building, I walk to Gustovia. When I arrive, I buy all the crops I need for the main quest and then start making my way towards Sambor. I get there after a long run and he directs me towards Hornica. I travel back home while picking stuff off the ground. When I finally get back, I clean the pigsty, make some stone knives, make some stone pickaxes, and roast some meat. I decide to place a table for some decor and some flower pots to make the place look nice. After placing a couple flowers, I turn it in for the night and head to bed. Day 39. I wake up and follow signs towards Hornica. The road I'm following leads right past the mine, and there's a bear who is not happy to see me. He wants a fight, so I start shooting. I fill him with arrows before continuing to the town. When I get to the quaint little town of Hornica, I find a lady who's drunk off her face, so I need a potion of sobriety. I accept a quest to make some axes and gather up the material. I do some crafting and turn in the quest. I accept another quest in town from Rock, which requires me to go hunting. I run past a pretty looking lake and I run into 3 wolves. After taking out the wolves, I walk west and reach another town. I get an achievement for visiting every town in the valley. I recruit Zabigniwa and give her a job in the workshop. I walk down to the fishing hut and see a dude just swimming in the water. I say hi to him and he slowly walks away from me. I leave the town to head back to Hornica and kill some animals along the way to complete my quest. After a lot of unnecessary killing, I turn in the quest and recruit Wolfram. I give him a job in the workshop and then start walking home. It's kind of a long walk, but after a while I make it back home. I tuck myself into bed and go to sleep. Day 40. I wake up to a sunny summer's day and do some farming. I pick onions, I pick carrots, I pick cabbages. I run out of storage for all the food I picked, so I build another food storage. When I finished, I cooked as much pottage as I could. I accepted a quest from one of my villagers, made a spear and turned it in. I made some axes and took some pottage from my storage to sell in Gustovia. When I arrived, I found a merchant and sold as much as I could. The same kid that wanted an axe a couple days ago now wants a spear. I don't know what he's planning and I'm not going to ask questions. I cut a tree and made him a spear. I gave it to the kid. He seemed pretty grateful, so I went home. I made some wooden bowls so I could make more pottage. Then I made even more wooden bowls so I could make even more pottage. I placed another flower next to my home and then I made another house. After building, I had a bath and then I went to bed. Day 41. It's another beautiful summer's day and I want to make some money. I take pottage out of my resource storage and then head west towards Denica. I find a small abandoned camp with an iron shovel and 50 coins. I continue towards Denica, stopping along the way to do some hunting. I reach Denica, talk to the merchant and sell my goods. I recruit Ingada and make her a huntress before leaving town. I'm headed southwest to the fishing town. It's quite far away. When I finally make it to town, I talk to this guy and I accept the king's challenge. I immediately regret it because the quest involves a lot of farming and I don't want to do it. I begin walking back home and find an abandoned cart with some valuable wine. I keep walking until I make it back home. I have a break by drinking some water, pick up some pottage from my food storage and head to Gustovia. I sell a bunch of goods in Gustovia, then head to Borrower so I can sell even more. After selling as much as I could, I went back home. When I arrived back at my town, I organized my field so I could do the king's challenge. Smacked up some wheat grain so I could make some animal feed. I then talked to my wife and she gave me some gruel. I then went to bed after a long day. Day 42. The last day of summer and it's raining hard. I spent the morning cutting down trees in the rain. No. I'm good. I got hit by a tree and almost died, but I shook it off and started walking northwest to Pigtown. On the way, I took out a couple boar and then ran into this bridge. On the other side were some bandits. I take out my bow and start fighting. After killing them all, I take all their loot and contraband. I make it to Pigtown and sell all my goods. I see the herbalist and buy a potion of sobriety. Then I accept a quest, make an axe, and hand it in. Afterwards, I start walking home and find an abandoned camp. I take everything of value, and once I'm done pillaging, I continue heading home. When I make it back to my town, I place a flower, roast some meat, have a bath, and then head to bed. In between seasons, I make a speech and my villagers work harder. Day 43. The first day of fall, I wake up and make some pottage. It's a nice sunny day. I spend the morning picking up cabbages and cleaning the pigsty. I make some fertilizer and help tend the fields. I talk to my first villager Nyrod and he gives me a quest. I get a wooden hammer from storage and turn it in. I walk back to my abode and talk to my wife. She gives me a quest and I leave town towards Honica. I run into some angry wolves and I start fighting. I take out all the wolves and make it to Honica. I sell my things and then give up my potion of sobriety to continue the main quest. This lady yaps a lot, then sends me on another errand. I follow the market until I reach a little campsite. I take some loot that's here and talk to the guy. He has a crazy yapping sesh as well and sends me back to Honica. I talk to the lady again and the sun starts to set, so I begin heading home. I climb a hill and take a moment to appreciate the view. Wow. After the scenic stop, I continue running home, make it to my town, and go to bed. Day 44. I woke up to my wife humming a song and it was quite enchanting. I left my home, made some pottage, had a bath, and made even more pottage. I walked southwest until I got to the fishing town, sold some pottage, and continued the main quest. I decided to use the wagon fast travel for the first time because I'm rich, and I traveled to Borrower. I run into town and talk to this lady, but she won't give me what I want unless I give her some fish. I walk across the river and start building a fishing hut. I have to gather most of the materials by hand, but after a bit of time, I was finished. I hopped in the river and started hunting some fish. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, and I spent a lot of time just looking for the fish. Eventually I found more fish, then ran back to the fishing hut and prepared the fish meat. I ran back to Borrower, turned in the fish meat, ran back home, then went to bed. Day 45. Another sunny fall day. In the morning, I quickly made a house. After the house, I made a woodshed right next to it. It looked real cute when I was finished. I then made bags, knives, pickaxes, and axes for my villagers. I then ran past Gustovia towards Borrower. When I got there, I recruited Raid Gunda and put her to work in the woodshed I just built. I ran to Gustovia and recruited Erika. I got an achievement for recruiting 50 villagers, and when I got home, started building a house for Erika. I quickly built the house for my new villager, and when I was done, started on a hen house. I quickly built that too and headed to Borrower. I bought a bunch of hens and a rooster to live in my new hen house. I ran back home and checked on my new chickens. I picked up some pottage and headed to Denica. When I arrived, I sold my pottage. I recruited Dubrowa and then ran back home to make her a house. After I placed the foundation, I got an achievement for increasing the size of my town. I quickly built her house in the dark, then walked home, took off all my clothing to attempt an achievement again, then went to bed. Day 46. My son can now walk and also talk. What a talented 2-year-old. It's a snowy, cold start to winter. I begin work on a kitchen too and realize not having a backpack sucks. I complete the kitchen too and put my wife to work. I repair a broken wall, then accept a quest in my village. I make wooden spears, then complete the quest. I accept another quest in town to make some fur boots, so I get to crafting. I attempt to turn in the quest, but nothing happens, and I realize I made the wrong item. I make the correct shoes, then turn in the quest. I roast some meat, make some boots, then start building another house. When I finish, I do some farming to level up my skill. After a bit of grinding, I delete the field I was building. I say hi to my son,
Hello.
have a bath, and then go to bed. Day 47. I woke up to a cold, stormy day and headed southwest to the fishing town. When I got to the village, I recruited Frida and put her to work in the excavator shed. I ran down to the lake and gave the dude a crossbow to continue the main quest. I sold some pottage while I was here, then began walking home. When I got home, I did tasks for the main quest. I dried some meat, made a water skin, then filled it up. I left home and headed towards Hornica. When I arrived, I gave the lady the quest items, then accepted a side quest nearby. I bought a copper hammer from a vendor, then turned in the side quest. I followed the quest marker into the forest and reached the camp I was in before. I talked to the guy and he reveals the main antagonist. What a plot twist. I ran to Gustovia thinking I probably should have paid attention to the story. When I get there, I confront Unigost, bringing the story to a close. I get given a trophy and a cutscene.
I never had a chance to meet my uncle, to judge his character on my own. But I got to know you, Unigost. And though I do not condone your actions, I understand the reasons. To be a man is not to never err, but to make hard decisions when they are necessary. You made yours. And it's something you will need to live with for the rest of your life. As will I.
I don't really know what that was all about, but I accept the quest, make an axe, and turn it in. Afterwards, I run back to my town, and when I get back, I go to bed. Day 48. I wake up to another cold winter's day. I talk to my wife and she gives me a berry juice. I really gotta thank my wife. I appreciate her so much. She does so much for the town and people. She works hard as a cook and she birthed my son. Thank you, Grimilda. Anyway, I had a drink, walked through town and had a bath. I laid down the foundation for a house and built it up. When it was done, I started building a market stall. I finished that too, and now I can sell pottage over time without actually doing anything. I say hi to my son.
Hello.
And I gotta thank him. He's done so much for the town by being cute, I suppose, and dawdling around. Thank you, Jan. Anyway, I collect everything I can from the goose house, then clean up the pigsty. I try to get into the hen house, but I'm blocked by hens. I eventually give up and do something else. I make some firewood for the people, make some flax stalks, and turn it into linen thread. I then pick up sticks and stones to level up my survival skill, then cut trees to level up my extraction skill. I decide to make a pickaxe and do some mining. After a hard, cold day's work, I go to bed. Overnight, a thief is caught trying to steal. I cut off his hands and everyone's pissed at me. Day 49. Year 5 began with a cold, rainy day. I sat solemnly looking out the window, sad that yet again I didn't get the achievement for not wearing clothing over winter, practically wasting my time and effort. I don't let it get to me for too long. I talk to my wife and she tells me to talk to my son. I say hello to Jan and apparently he's got an imaginary friend who needs some clothing. I don't question it, go to the storage to get some clothing and make the rest I don't have. I give it all to my son, then he asks me to get a copper hammer. I don't have any copper, so I head to the mines to get some. I ambush the bear guarding the mine, he runs away up the hill, and I chase him down. The tables quickly turn when I get to the top. I run back down the hill and the bear gets stuck on some logs. The trapped bear is an easy target, I take him out, and then go into the mine. Once inside, I mine as much as I can. When I'm finished, I run back home. I smelt the ore and make a copper hammer. I give it to my son and progress the quest. I make some pottage, then head to Gustovia to sell it. I recruit Aldmere, put him in the farm shed, then sell my pottage. I buy some animal feed before going back home. When I get back, I make a new field, have some water, then go to bed. Day 50. I wake up and talk to my son. Apparently his imaginary friend wasn't imaginary and my son was helping out a random guy. It all worked out, I suppose. No one got hurt, so I'm happy. It's a beautiful day outside. I make some boots, cook some stew, then head to Gustovia. I sold the stew I cooked, then headed to Borrowa. When I arrived, I sold the boots I made, recruited Dam Rocket and put her in the woodshed. I took a wagon to Baranica, ran into town, and recruited Locke and Simawit. I sold more of my things, then ran to the neighboring town, Branica. I sold even more things, recruited Gerwazy, then took the wagon back to Gustovia. I ran back to my town, and when I got home, I had a bar. I took a moment to appreciate how far I'd come. I'm only 50 days in, halfway, and have a beautiful, thriving town. At this point, I'm super excited to see the progress I'll make in the remaining 50 days. While in photo mode, I saw one of my villagers stuck in the roof. I went to check it out, and he was gone. Anyway, I've had a lot of fun building my town, and I haven't really got a chance to look at it. It looks awesome, I think. I'm super happy with how everything's turning out. After I'm done gushing over my town, I roast some meat, then build a sewing hut. When I was done, I started building another hunting lodge. I completed that too and set the production to leather. I made some pickaxes and some knives, then went to bed. Day 51. It's another beautiful spring day. I place the foundation for a market stall, then make some planks. I begin putting it all together, then make some linen fabric to finish it off. I set the market to sell boots, then headed towards Denica. On the way, I run into some wolves and I take them out. I skin them, then finish the journey to Denica. When I arrive, I sell my boots and start a quest. He wants a copper hammer, so I run home to get one. On the way, I run into a couple boars and then make the hammer. I run all the way back to Denica, make it to town, and turn in the quest. I run back home, have a bath, talk to my son,
Hello.
then head to bed. Day 52. I woke up and got a trophy because I forgot to pay my taxes. I asked my wife to pay my taxes and she did. What a good start to the day. I do a ton of repairs around town because my village is falling apart. Then I decide to do some farming. I cut some wheat, pick up carrots, pick up cabbages, then pick from my fruit trees. I make some boots and then head to Gustovia carrying everything I need for the King's Challenge. I make it to town, sell a bunch of boots, see another vendor and sell even more boots. I take the wagon to turn in the King's Quest and I go to the wrong town. I consult the map to make sure I go to the right place and then I take the wagon to the correct town. I run into the village, sell more of my boots and then turn in the King's Quest. I take the wagon back to Gustovia and head home. When I get back, I gather everything out the hen house, gather everything out the goose house, and then clean up the pigsty. I roast some meat, make some pottage, and then start building a donkey shelter as I want a mount to help me get places faster. I make some planks to finish off the donkey shelter. I beat up some rye grain, make some animal feed, and then head to bed. Day 53. I woke up and ran to Gustovia. I took the wagon to Tutski and walked into town. I bought 2 donkeys so they could breed. Then I walked to the vendor, bought an iron horseshoe, a saddlebag, and a saddle. I took the wagon back to Gustovia and ran home. When I got back to my town, I checked on my new donkeys and put on a saddle. I got an achievement for getting my first mount. I climbed on the donkey and tested her out. I gotta be honest, I was pretty underwhelmed by the max speed of the donkey, so I decided to equip the horseshoe to try and make it a bit faster. I had no idea how to equip things on the donkey. I tried everything. Eventually I figured out how to put things in the donkey's inventory and equip it from there. I tested the donkey out again and he still felt pretty slow, so I decided to put on a race. Okay, so the donkey's a bit faster than running, but I still want a faster mount. I clean the pigsty, then collect from the goose house before making a market stall. When I finish building, I set the market to sell boots. I said hi to a toddler walking around my town, then got on the donkey and rode to Borrower. And I gotta admit, having a donkey does make life easier. I arrived in Borrower and recruited Gundorf. I put him to work in the sewing hut, then ran back home. When I got back home, I dismounted my donkey, then walked to my house. I went around back and then decided to do some archery training. After a bit of training, I collected my arrows and then went to bed. Day 54. Today I wanted to get a horse. To do so, I needed to build a stable. Unfortunately, I'm at my 70 building build limit, and I went through settings and there was no way to increase it. I decided to take apart one of my workshops so I could build a stable in its place. When I finished taking apart the workshop, I placed the foundation for a stable. When I finished building the stable, I ran towards Hornica to hopefully buy a horse. I ran into a wolf on the way and had to take him out. And then another, and then two more. I make it to Hornica, recruit Egbert, and buy 2 horses. I leave Hornica straight away and run home. When I get back to my town, I take everything off my donkey and equipped it on my horse. I mount up and test her out. She's a lot faster than the donkey, so I'm happy. Since I can't have any more buildings, I decide to make a giant wall surrounding my town. I place the blueprint for a section of Palisades and begin building. I quickly realize how expensive the whole wall is going to be, but I continue regardless. I pick up more logs from storage and continue building. Not only have I realized how expensive the wall's gonna be, costing 6 logs per palisade, it's also gonna take a heck of a lot of time. I continue building, getting logs from storage, and building some more. I repeat the process of running to my storage, getting logs, and building. Then I decide to plan out the rest of the wall. I run around my entire town placing palisades, and this task itself takes a long time. When I finish placing the blueprint, I walk back home and go to bed. Overnight, there was a nobleman. He dropped his purse and I returned it, and my villagers were mad at me. Day 55. Fall has begun, and before I continue the Palisades, I gotta do some work around town. I talk to some of my villagers and accept a bunch of quests. I do some farming and then seasonal repairs around town. When all the repairs were complete, I made some stone axes and then continued on the wall. After some more building, I had to go to storage to get more logs. Building the wall is kinda boring, but kinda therapeutic in a way. Building the wall, going to storage, then building more wall. It's a nice simple cycle I can get behind. Seeing the progress of the wall being built is also pretty satisfying. After using a majority of the day building the wall, I decide to spend my afternoon on something else. I make a wooden spear and a copper hammer for 2 missions and turn them both in. I then talk to my 2-year-old son, and apparently there's a guy in town who's scammed and defrauded him. I promise him I'll sort it out tomorrow. I make some boots, and then even more boots, all of which kinda look like shirts to me, but whatever. I walk home, and then go to bed. Day 56. I wake up and have to clear my son's name of any wrongdoing. He's an innocent 2-year-old boy. I run all the way to Borrower, get off my horse, and talk to the guy. I defend my son, then talk to him again and accidentally press the wrong dialogue option and pay him 1,600 coins. The mission is now over. I sell boots to a vendor and then go home. I get back home and continue on my wall. My horse is randomly bleeding, but she seems okay. I ran out of logs in storage and now have to collect it by hand, which is gonna make the wall take even longer. I add a segment to my wall, then make some new tools. I make a hammer and an axe. I roast some meat, have a bath, and then take my horse into the forest. I start cutting trees and cut down half the forest so I can have enough logs to continue my wall. When it gets pretty dark, I finish cutting trees, ride my horse back to my town, and continue on the wall. It's getting quite late at night, so I take my horse back to my house and go to bed. Day 57. It's the last day of fall and I still have more wall to build. I walked to the storage and pulled out a bunch of logs, then did some more work on the wall. When I ran out of wood and couldn't keep building, I cut more trees. I pretty much spent most of the day cutting down trees just so I could keep working on the wall. While hammering the wall, I accidentally hit my horse in the head, and I'm hoping Medieval Peter doesn't come and get me. After working on the wall a bit more, I have a little break by making some shoes and change my town's production to sell simple shoes because they're a bit cheaper than the boots I was selling before. I place a ton of wicker baskets around town for some decoration, just to spruce up the town a bit. I then walk through town and then leave to cut myself some more trees. I cut trees well into the afternoon and use the wood to work on the wall. I take a bath, do some archery training, then walk home and go to bed. Day 58. It's the first day of winter and my son is playing in the snow. As he walks away, I realize I should probably be heading to work as well. I start the day by doing seasonal repairs around my town. After the repairs, I run through town, accept a quest, and then continue working on the wall. I spend a lot of time cutting down trees and picking up the logs. When my inventory is full of logs, I work on the wall, and then you guessed it, cut down more trees. While destroying the entire forest, my trusty axe broke, so I had to make a new one. I rode the horse home, had a drink, and then went to bed. Day 59. Another cold winter's day, I take my horse into the forest and begin cutting down trees. Just like the day prior, I spend a majority of the day destroying the forest so I can keep working on my wall. When my pockets are full, I continue working on my Palisades, then have a break by making some shoes. I continue the destruction of nature for the progress of my town, then keep building the wall. I repeat the process of cutting down trees and continuing to build the wall. Then do it again. When I run out of logs from building the wall this time, I call it a day, run through town, roast some meat, have a bath, and then head to bed. Day 60. It's a cold, dark, snowy day, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but I run to the forest and cut down trees. While I'm doing my normal tree cutting shenanigans, I dig up a tree stump and get an achievement for digging 100 stumps. I continue building my wall, and when I'm out of wood, I head back into the forest. At this point, I am getting pretty tired of cutting trees for hours, but the wall is almost finished, so I persevere. I continue building my wall, and at some point realize the firewood consumption is greater in winter, which is a nice little detail. I make some firewood for the people, then head back into the forest to cut more trees. After chopping my heart out some more, I continued on the wall for a bit, then walked home and ended the season. Day 61. It's a sunny first day of spring and the beginning of year 6. I asked my wife to pay my taxes for me, then promised my son I'd find him a toy sword. I do some repairs around town as everything's falling apart, then run down the street to the hunting lodge to accept a quest. I then continue on the wall. I go back and forth between cutting wood and building the wall. I got nothing exciting to say, so I'm gonna play some music. I build the next load of Palisades and realize I've only got 3 more to build. I quickly run to my storage, take out just enough logs, and after 8 days of building and chopping trees, I was finally done with the wall. I ran back home, exhausted in real life by the time I had to put in, then went to bed. Day 62. It's another sunny spring day. I have a bath, make some shoes, and travel to Gustovia. I accidentally sell my hat, then sell all the shoes I made for an easy profit. I run to Borrower to talk to the woodworker to see if he can make my son a toy sword, but no luck. I ran back to my town, and when I got home, I made some arrows for a quest I accepted yesterday. I made some planks to use decorating my town. I made a table, some barrels, a bench, then placed some old tools on the table for that extra pizzazz. I saw some cute toddlers being best buddies walking around together, then cleaned manure out of my horse and donkey stables. I also cleaned the pigsty, then picked up eggs and feathers from both the goose house and the hen house. I crafted some oat grain, made some animal feed, roasted some meat, then made some fertilizer. I leveled up my farming skill, then realized crafting in the barn gives you lots of farming XP. I then did even more crafting in the barn to focus on leveling the skill. I rearranged my fields so I could make as much animal feed as possible. I then make some stone axes for my lumberjacks, and decide to make some fences for decoration around my town. After I lay out the plan, I put it together with my trusty hammer, and I think it looks pretty good. I put together another fence for a different house. I'm happy with the result of this one too. I make some planks so I can build a nice fence around my house. I build in the dark and run out of planks. I don't quite finish, but decide to worry about it tomorrow, then go to bed. Day 63. I wake up, have a drink, then get to work on my fence. I'm pretty happy about it when I finish. I then walk to the storage to make some bags for my farmers. I decide to decorate my town for a bit. I test out a table and chair I built, then built a backyard fence for this house. I don't know what it is about fences, but they make the place look nicer. I place some wicker baskets around, then plant some flowers around my town. I'm a big fan of the flowers. I think they make the town look pretty nice. After using my green thumb all afternoon, I had a bath, had a drink of water, planted 2 last flowers, and then walked home and went to bed. There was a wedding, and everyone was happy about it, which is always a good thing. Day 64. My game crashed and all the footage of the morning was corrupted, but here's a list of what I did. My town's seasonal repairs, I made a new crop field, I completed a side quest in Gustovia, and bought some tree saplings. When I got back to town, I laid out a new orchard, grubbed up the fields, then planted some trees. When I was done planting, I grubbed up the crop plot I built as well. I got on my horse and headed to the barn. Ouch! When I got there, I crafted some flax seeds, then made some linen thread. I had a nice relaxing afternoon stroll through my town, then sat with my villagers by the fire. I haven't really had a chance to sit back and slow down since I finished the wall, so I thought I'd take a moment to appreciate everything that's been happening. The town is flourishing. My people are happy and working hard. What more could I ask for? I take a slow walk home, turn it in for the day, and go to bed. Day 65. I woke up to a rainy summer's day, and I didn't have too much on the agenda. I decide to go for an achievement where I shoot a target from 100 meters away. As I'm placing the archery targets, I unlock a new building, a mine. I place my horse adjacent to the archery targets so I can get an idea of the distance I'm shooting from. I then start raining down arrows at my house from the top of the hill, hoping to get a hit. I can't actually see the targets because they're out of render distance, so I'm just shooting and praying I get lucky. I did not get lucky, and I had to pick up all my arrows. I ran back up the hill and tried again. Unfortunately, I missed every shot and had to pick up all my arrows again. I ran back up the hill to try again. I started shooting and eventually I got it. I got on my horse and left my town. I'm headed towards Pigtown to see an herbalist. On the way, I run into an abandoned logging camp and I loot it. I get back on my horse and continue towards the village. Ooh! Ouch! I make it to Pigtown, find the herbalist, and buy a bunch of potions. I ride my horse back home, and I'm extremely thankful to have him out. This trip would be extremely slow without it. When I get back home, I roast up some meat. I'm so appreciative and like my horse so much, I decide to name her. I call her Giuseppe. Giuseppe takes me home. I walk home, and then go to bed. Day 66. It's a sunny summer's day, and I've got a lot planned today. I make some shoes, see the fellas hanging out, then make some wheat grain. I leave town and head towards the fishing hut I made a while ago. When I get there, I tear it down. When the building is all gone, I hop on my horse and head towards the cave. As usual, there's a bear guarding the entrance, so I have to take him out. After I'd taken care of the bear, I placed the foundation for the mine and headed back to town to make some planks. I ran back to the mine and started building. I didn't have enough logs, so I found some nearby trees and cut them down. I continued building the mine, and again, I didn't have enough logs, so I quickly cut some trees and finished the mine. I set the production of the mine to exclusively iron ore, and then I went home. When I got back, I cleared the goose house and the hen house, then made some fertilizer. I went to Gustovia, bought some alcohol, and came home. When I got back, I drank all the alcohol and got wasted. I got a trophy for being drunk. I drunkenly stumbled out of my house and said hi to Nyrod. What up, man? Nyrod, is that you? I staggered around town for a bit and then went home. I had a power nap in the grass before going to bed. Day 67. I woke up and immediately failed a quest because I couldn't find a toy sword for my son. I talked to my wife to accept the quest, then start repairs around my town because it's a new season. When I finish my repairs, I make some shoes and then head southwest to the fishing town for the quest for my wife. I make it to the town and talk to this man named Roland. After talking to him for a bit, he sends me on my way to get a Wissant skull. I run through the forest looking for a Wissant and find one. I start shooting arrows at the Wissant, and after a few shots, I take him out. I skin it and then take the skull back to Roland. When I get back, I deliver the skull and chat with Roland for a bit and recruit him to my town. I run towards my village, and when I get home, I turn in the quest by talking to my wife. I say hi to my son Jan and he gives me a mushroom. I then abuse substances by taking every potion at once so I can get an achievement. I don't know what the game's trying to say, but after taking all those experimental substances, the world seems like a brighter place. I roast some meat, decorate the town a bit by placing some flowers, and then head to bed. Day 68. It's another nice fall morning. I begin the day by crafting some oat grain, then crafting some wheat grain. I then accept a quest from Ludgarda, pull a recurve bow out of storage, and complete the quest. I decide to spend time gathering, picking up sticks and stones to level my survival skill. I run into a few wolves I have to take out, and when I'm finished, I ride home. When I get back, I make a little fence along the walkway, then I plant some flowers. I build another little fence for decor, and then have a drink of water. I smelt some iron to make iron bars, but unfortunately can't make iron tools yet because I don't have enough production technology. I decide to pick up sticks and stones to work on my survival skill a bit more. When my inventory is full, I come back to my village, work on some fences, head home, and go to bed. Day 69. It's the last day of fall, and I gotta be honest, I didn't have a lot to do today. I spend my morning gathering, trying to level up my survival skill, and while I'm out of town, decide to do some hunting. I take out some deer, kill some birds, and then take out more deer. I do some gathering on the way home, and when I get to my town, I deposit everything in my storage. I leave town again to do more gathering, and when my inventory is full, I head back to town to deposit. I leave town one more time to do an afternoon hunt, kill some boar, and when it gets dark, I head back home and go to bed. Day 70. It's a cold winter's day, and I spend the morning making a fence for my crop plot. When the fence is done, I accept a quest, and then build another fence around a different crop plot. I don't quite have enough sticks, so I have to pick some up myself, then I can finish it off. I make some stone arrows to complete the quest I accepted, and then rode towards Gustovia. I accept the quest when I get to town, and I need a bunch of building supplies, so I pick reeds and cut trees before running back and turning it in. I do some gathering on the way to my town, and when I get home, I go to bed. Day 71. It's a snowy winter's day, and I decide to keep working on my survival skill. I gather sticks and stones all morning in the snow. I take out a wolf and keep picking stuff up. My survival skill is almost at level 10, so I keep picking stuff up so I can level up. I really just pick up sticks and stones all day. There's really not much else to talk about. I run into a boar, take it out, and keep picking stuff up. I eventually get my survival to level 10 and get an achievement. I ride back to my town, roast some meat, walk home, and go to bed. Day 72. It's not an absolute blizzard outside, so it's kind of a good winter's day. I make some shoes, get some leather out of storage, and make more shoes. I decide to do a selling trip, so I barrel towards Gustovia. When I arrive in town, I sell some shoes, and then head towards Borrower to sell even more shoes. While heading towards Veronica, I do some hunting, I kill some crows, kill a rabbit, and take on a Wissent. After I take out the Wissent, I finish the journey towards Veronica. I sell even more shoes and then make my way to the neighboring town, Branica. When I get there, again, I sell shoes. After selling so many shoes and making big profit, I stumble back home. When I get back to my town, I get a knife out of storage and then go hunting. After a bunch of murder, I head home and do some crafting. I make some stone axes, stone pickaxes, and cook some meat. I have a drink from the well, clean myself off, and say hi to my son and his friend.
Hello.
I ride my horse back to my house and go to bed. Day 73. It's a rainy start to year 7, and I start the season like any other by doing my repairs. When that's done, I accept the quest to make this lady a bow. I craft one and complete the quest. I accept a quest from my wife, and she wants me to deliver a cane. The quest is all the way in Tutski, so I start the long ride. I immediately get distracted and do some hunting along the way. I take out a couple of moose with my bare hands, kill a deer, and then continue along the way. I run into some bandits, and they foolishly put up a fight. I take out my bow and start shooting. I picked up a dropped weapon and take out the last bandit. I then do some looting, taking every valuable I can find. After looting, I continue riding to Tutski. When I get to town, I talk to the old man and hand in his cane. I ride back home to talk to my wife, and get distracted hunting again because I want to take out a moose. After it's dealt with, I ride the rest of the way home and talk to my wife. She's got bad news for me as my son is missing. I look around town but have no idea where he is. I search the entire village, search outside the village, but can't find him. I go back to my wife and she tells me some random dude walked my son home. What a relief. I leave my town to find the man so I can thank him. When I find him, I talk to him and invite him to my town. I sell some goods while I'm in town and then make my way home. When I get back, I make my way inside and go to bed. Day 74. Unfortunately, it's another rainy spring day. I'm informed that there's someone in Hornica that needs my help. I get on my horse and start the journey to the town. It's kind of a nice ride. I'm usually interrupted, but this one goes smoothly. I make it to Hornica and accept the quest. It's not very difficult. It involves me walking to the vendor, buying some meat, and turning in the quest. I buy some iron arrows from a different vendor, then leave town to go hunting. I kill a fox, kill a rabbit, and kill a wolf. I ambush some bandits in the forest, and when I kill them, I loot them up. I continue through the forest and run into a beautiful waterfall. It's definitely the coolest piece of nature I've seen in the game so far. It's beautiful. Just look at it, it's epic! I continue running through the forest and run into 2 boar. After I take them out, I find myself in Gustavia and I sell my goods while I'm here. I run back to my town, and when I get home, I have a drink and make some shoes. I then make some fertilizer, wash off in the wash tub, and go to bed. Day 75. I wake up and try to leave my house, but my door's blocked by my clumsy ass horse, Giuseppe. Fortunately, I can mount up through the gap in the wall, so I hop on and leave the town. I decide I want to spend the day hunting to improve my skill, so I get out there with my bow. After killing a few wolves quite close to my town, my hunting skill levels up. I hunt a deer, and then go after another who's being chased by wolves. Unfortunately, the wolves switch aggro and team up on me. I show off a combination of bad aim and panic, as both the wolves do some serious damage to me. When I realize my health is getting low, I decide to run away to get some distance, but when I turn back around, they take me out. Oh man! I sit through the extremely long loading screen, and the game sets me back to when I left my town. I take out the 3 wolves nearby again, and as I'm skinning them, my hunting levels up. This time I steer clear of any deer being chased by wolves, and I do some hunting throughout the forest. After taking out a wisent and a bird, I find a cart with some valuable wine. I pick it all up, then make my way to Denica. In town, I sell all my goods, then take a wagon to Gustavia so I can get home faster. When I get back to my town, I stand in the rain for a bit, then decide to do some chores. I clean up the entire pigsty, collect eggs and feathers from the goose house and the hen house, then have a break because I got bored of doing chores. I say hi to my son,
Hello.
then decide to leave town to do some more hunting. I see an eagle and take it out with my bow. When I go to skin it, I realize I don't have a knife and I cut my hunting trip short. I get back to my town and make some bronze bars, then I make myself a new bronze knife. I placed a few scarecrows around my farm for aesthetics. I left the farm and made a new fence. When that was built, I made some shoes, roasted some meat, then walked home and went to bed. Overnight there was an event, a dangerous storm. A few of my buildings were damaged. Day 76. It's a sunny start to summer and I began the morning by doing some farming. I used an iron scythe I got from a mission to clear my wheat field. Then I cleared my flax field. I crafted some wheat grain in the barn, then made some flax seeds. I had a little bit of a break in town, and then took out my hammer to do my seasonal repairs. When that was finished, I made some shoes, then decided to go on a selling trip. I made it to Gustavia and sold some shoes, then went to Borrower to sell more shoes. After selling, I walked into the forest to do some hunting. I killed a crow, then I killed 2 boar. I made it to the next town over, Baranica, then accepted some quests.
Stranger. What can I do for you, mister?
I cut down a tree so I could make a wooden hammer, then turned it into the kit. I then cut down 19 more trees for my other quest. I ran home. Ow! 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 I continued running home. Ow! Ow! When I got home, I had a drink of water and went to bed. Day 77. It's kinda foggy out, but it's still a nice summer's day. I decide to ride to Hornica to see if there's any side quests. My peaceful ride gets interrupted by bandits, and I have to fight them off. It's a close quarters fight, which isn't ideal for me and my bow, but I managed to take them out anyway. I take everything they had on them, then loot their little camp. I continue walking through the forest, then do some hunting. I take out a wisent, and then fight a few boar. I finally make it to Hornica and accept the quest. It's a very easy quest. I buy the materials off him, and then hand them back to complete the quest. I take the wagon to another town so I can accept the quest, then quickly realize I don't want to do it, so I make my way back home. I quickly get distracted and do some hunting along the way, but eventually I make it home. I roast some meat and make some shoes, then craft 600 spears. I change one of my market stalls to sell spears, then have a bar. I watch all my villagers finish work for the day, then walk to the campfire. I walk home, say hi to my wife,
Hello.
and then hit the hay. Day 78. It's a beautiful summer's day and I have a slow morning walk through town. I do a bunch of crafting. I make some fertilizer, I smack some flax seeds, I make some linen thread, I make some linen fabric, and put together some bags. I leave my town and head towards Gustovia. When I make it, I try and sell some goods, but the vendors are broke. I take a wagon to Tutski, walk into town, and sell my goods there. I leave the village and head east to Branica, and do some hunting along the way. I make it to Branica, sell my goods, and leave. I find a cave while walking to the next town over and decide to do some exploring. After a quick spelunking sesh, I leave the cave and then walk towards Baranica. I do some more selling and then ride home. When I get back home, I have a drink of water and then have a little walk through my town. I decide it needs more benches, so I place a bunch around the village. After putting up the benches, I ran home and went to bed. Day 79. I wake up and talk to my son. He's got a quest for me, which I happily oblige. He wants a cherry pie. I do some work around town by doing my repairs. When I finish, I take a moment to appreciate the sunny fall day, then make some shoes. Giuseppe and I make our way to Gustovia. When we arrive, I sell some shoes and buy a cherry pie. We head back home and I go to my house. I talk to my son, give him the cherry pie, and complete the quest. I travel through the forest to Denica, and when I arrive, I accept a quest. It's another easy quest. I buy the materials from her and give them back to complete it.
Hello.
I do a bit of hunting on the way home, killing 2 boar and a moose. I make it back home, make some stone pickaxes, make some shoes, and make some oat grain. I spend a minute chilling out in town, then walk home and go to bed. Day 80. Today was a windy, rainy, fall day. The weather may be bad, but I decide to have a productive day anyway. I smelt some iron bars and then leave my town to go hunting. I walk into the forest and hunt a few deer. After I hunt the deer, I hunt a few boar. I hunt a moose and then head back home. I roast some meat and then decide to decorate my town a bit. After placing some items around town, I have a bar. Then Giuseppe and I run to Gustovia. When I arrive, I accept a quest. I cut a tree, make a hammer, and turn it in. We leave Hornica and make it back home. I have a drink, walk to my house, and then go to bed. Day 81. It's a bright sunny fall day and I decided to spend some time decorating. I built a fence by a house so it can have a backyard. And I placed a few wicker baskets. I made another fence as I find them quite aesthetically pleasing. Then I made another fence. I made yet another fence. And then placed some more baskets. I said hi to my son,
Good day.
then walked to a woodshed to make some planks. I placed a bunch of barrels, tables, and seats around the town. I made even more planks, and then placed even more items. After decorating basically the whole day, I make some shoes, drink some water, and roast some meat. I then walk to my house and go to bed. Day 82. I wake up and my house is falling apart. I do repairs on not only my house, but the entire town. I accept a quest, and fortunately I have everything in my storage, so I easily complete it. For completing the quest, I get a hood that I equipped. Me and Giuseppe leave town and ride towards Gustovia. When we make it to town, I accept the king's challenge, and like last time, it's gonna take me a while. I accept another quest in town, buy what I need, and turn it in. I take a wagon to Denica, walk into town, and accept an easy quest. He wants 2 stone axes, so I pick up the materials, craft what I need, and complete the quest. I decide to go hunting on the way home, and the forest is bountiful this time of year. After a successful hunt, I make it home. I roast some meat and craft some shoes. I'm now able to make iron tools, so I buy a bunch of blueprints. I make a bunch of iron knives to use and sell, then run home and go to bed. Day 83. It's a sunny winter's day and I decide I want to make some money. Me and Giuseppe leave town heading towards Gustavia. When I arrive, I sell my goods. We make our way to Borrower, and when we get to town, we sell more goods. I leave Borrower heading to the next town over and find an abandoned cart with some goods. I finish the trip to Baranica, accept the quest and sell my goods. It's another tree cutting quest, so I spend my time cutting down trees. Before I knew it, the quest was over. Afterwards, me and Giuseppe rode back home. When we got to town, I made some animal feed, roasted some meat, and made some shoes. I saw some funny fellas playing by a fence I built, walked away, then cleaned the pigsty. I crafted some fertilizer, made myself a new bow, and then made some arrows. I ran to my house, said hi to Jan, had a bath, and went to bed. Day 84. It's another somewhat nice winter's day and I stroll through town. I make some iron knives to sell and then ride towards Denica, stopping to do some hunting along the way. I kill a couple of boar, then a bunch of deer, then make it to town. I sell as much as I can and then head west to the next town over. When I arrive, I sell more things. I head back home, doing a ton of hunting along the way. I eventually get back to my town, roast some meat, walk back home, and go to bed. Day 85. I wake up, talk to my wife, and get her to pay my taxes. It's a sunny start to year 8, and it's gonna be my last full year. I accept a quest and then repair my town. When the repairs are done, I make some shoes, smelt some iron bars, and make some iron knives. I leave my town and ride to Gustavia. When I get there, I sell my goods, and then run to Borrower. I arrive in the town, sell more goods, and accept a quest. I need some copper so I can make the quest items, so I head to the mine. It's quite a painful journey. I slip and fall a couple of times. When I arrive, I make myself a pickaxe and get to mining. When I'm done mining, I leave the cave and walk home. I smelt the copper, make the copper arrows, and turn in the quest. Afterwards, I run home and go to bed. Day 86. It's another nice spring day, and I decide to run to Gustavia to try and complete my quest. I get to town, buy some fish meat, then head to Borrower. I make it to town, turn in the quest, and run home. When I get back to my town, I roast some meat, craft some spears, and make some shoes. I run into the forest and decide to spend the rest of the day hunting. After hunting well into the afternoon, I kill a wolf and my hunting levels up. I take out a couple more wolves and then head home. I have a drink of water and go to bed. Day 87. It's another nice spring morning. I roast some meat and plant some flowers. I leave my town, hoping to sell my leftover seeds. I run past Gustavia and Borrower and make it to Baranica. I bankrupt the vendors in the town, then leave towards Branica. It's a short trip, but I quickly make it and stumble into town. I sell my goods, leave Branica, and make it to Tutski. I sell even more seeds, but still have some left over, so I make my way to Pigtown. I make it to the village, do more selling, and accept a quest. He wants a copper axe. I run to the next town over, and when I arrive, sell more seeds, and buy myself a copper axe. After receiving the axe, I run back to Pigtown to complete the quest. I decide to run back home, but while running, get interrupted by some bandits. I get off my horse and put up a fight. I kill the last bandit as he's running away, then loot everything they got. After looting, I head home, stopping off at Denica along the way. I sell all the items I looted, then continue heading home. I kill a wolf and skin it along the way, then finally make it home. I have a bar, have a drink of water, and head to bed. Day 88. I begin the new season doing my repairs. When the repairs are finished, I accept a quest from my son, who's in love and wants me to get him a bouquet. He is 5 years old, but who am I to deny true love? I run through town looking for flowers and accept a quest. I pick a couple of flowers I find, and then accept another quest. I continue looking for flowers with no luck, then accept another quest. I leave town searching for flowers and do some hunting while I'm out. I finally find a bunch of flowers, then run back home to give them to my son. I wish him luck and have to wait till tomorrow to see the result. I make some stone axes, some spears and some shoes, and then make a recurve bow to complete a quest. I make some wooden bolts to complete another quest, and then unequip my hammer and hand it in to complete another quest. I leave my town heading towards Gustovia. When I make it to town, I sell my goods, then head towards Borrower to sell more goods. I pick some flowers and then I head home. When I get back to my town, I pick up some stones, make some flower pots and plant some flowers. After decorating my town with flowers, I head home and go to bed. Day 89. I talked to my son when I woke up, and apparently the lady he was in love with is older than my wife, so safe to say things didn't quite work out. Regardless, it's a nice sunny summer's day, and I take some wheat out of storage for the King's Challenge. I leave my town and head towards Hornica, hoping to buy some fish meat. I take out a Wissent along the way and make it to Hornica. I buy some fish meat for the quest, then take the wagon to Denica to buy more. I walk into town and buy enough fish meat to complete the quest. I climb on Giuseppe and ride towards Gustovia. It's a nice, peaceful, uninterrupted ride, and when I make it to Gustovia, I hand in the King's Challenge. I ride back home and find a treasure along the way. After looting, I continue home. I gracefully enter my town, and while I'm walking, decide to do some crafting. I make wheat grain and rye grain, make some animal feed, and then put together some shoes. I have a little break in town, then leave to do some hunting. I whip out my bow and do some hefty damage to the local ecosystem. The main goal isn't really to destroy the environment, but to level my hunting. When the sun begins to set, I ride home and roast all the meat I got. I run to my house, have a quick sip of water, have a bath, and go to bed. Day 90. It's the last day of summer and a nice day. I smelt some iron, craft some knives, and then leave town. I head towards Gustovia, pass through town, then make my way to Borrower. I get to the village, casually phase through a wall, then sell one iron knife. I run to Baranica, and when I get to town, accept a quest. This dude's wife is angry, so I try to help him. I talk to her, and it doesn't help. I go back to the husband, and we devise a plan to give her eggs to make her happy. While I'm in town, I accept another quest and sell more knives. The quest involves me cutting down trees, so I cut down 20 and complete the quest. I run back to Borrower, buy some eggs, then run back to Baranica. I make it to the town, hand in the eggs, and wish him luck. I travel towards Branica, and when I get to the village, promise a 13-year-old I'd make him a spear. I quickly craft one and turn in the mission. I sell some goods in town, then start heading home. I get distracted and do some hunting along the way, but eventually make it home. I make some wooden spears and roast all the meat I got, then ride to my house and get stuck in the wall. When I'm freed, I head to bed. Day 91. It's a nice beginning of fall, and I begin the season like any other, by doing my repairs. After fixing my town, I make some shoes and then leave. I run to Gustovia, and when I make it, I accept a couple quests around town.
Newcomer. Hello.
I buy some food from one of the vendors and turn it in to complete the quest. I bounce out of Gustovia and make my way towards Baranica. I arrive in style, and then check on the dude I got eggs for yesterday. All is good with his wife. I then return home and rocket myself back to town. I make some stone pickaxes and a copper hammer for a quest, then head to Gustovia to turn it in. I arrive in town, turn in a quest, then sit down on a stool. I reflect upon the journey I've had so far, and I've had a lot of fun. I'm quite sad it's going to be over soon, but there's not much more progress to be made. The end is in sight. I ride back home and make it to my house again in style. I then go to bed. Day 92. It's a nice fall day and begins with me doing a lot of crafting. I make some shoes and some flax seeds, which levels up my farming. I have a drink to quench my thirst, then make some oat grain, some iron bars, some knives, some linen thread and linen fabric. After crafting, I left town to do some selling. I went to Gustovia and sold my goods. Then went to Borrower and sold there too. Afterwards went to Baranica to sell even more. I went to Brannica to do the same, then finished off in Pigtown. When I sold the last of my goods, I started heading home and did some hunting on the way. After my short hunting trip, I stopped by Denica to sell what I got on the hunt. I accepted a quest for a copper axe and then headed home. I dived into my town, walked into my house, and went to bed. Day 93. It's the last day of fall in the 100 days, so I try and make it a good one. I have a drink from the well, then make a copper axe for the quest I accepted yesterday. I leave my town and head towards Denica. When I arrive, I complete the quest. I head back home and do a bit of hunting while I'm in the forest. After a successful hunt, I make it to my town again. I cook up the meat I gathered while hunting, and then decorated the town with some flowers. I definitely think flowers make the town look a lot better. After all the planting, I sit by the fire with my villagers and enjoy the afternoon of my last day of fall. I head back home and go to bed. Day 94. It's now winter again. My final winter. I start the season as usual by doing all my repairs around town. When the repairs are done, I make some wooden spears and accept some quests around town.
Hello there. Hey, friend.
2 of the missions are to make recurve bows. I craft them both and complete both quests. I spend a bit of time standing around with Giuseppe, then leave town towards Baranica for the quest for my wife. When I reach the town, I talk to the inventor my wife wanted me to talk to and promised to help her out. I accepted 3 quests around town, then decided to get to work. On my list of things to do, I had to hunt some birds, deliver a package to Hornica, make some wooden spears, and hand in some fish meat. I started easy by making some spears and turning in the quest. I killed a pigeon and took the wagon to Hornica. I ran into town, bought the fish meat I need, and picked up the package. I took the wagon back to Baranica and turned in the quests. I looked on the map to find the birds I need, quickly found a crow, then crossed the river to find a duck. After a bit of searching, I found the eagle, then the hawk. I ran back to Baranica, told the inventor the good news, and am told to wait a day. I run back to my home, walk into my house, and go to bed. Day 95. It's another nice snowy day, and I leave town to see the inventor I helped yesterday. I wash myself off in the river, reach town, talk to the inventor, and complete the quest. Giuseppe and I head back home. When we arrive, I do some crafting. I make some shoes, smelt some iron, and craft some knives. I leave town again to go on a selling trip, starting in Gustovia. After I sell, I head to Borrower, then Baranica, then Brannica, then Tutski, and finally Pigtown. After I sell in Pigtown, I accept an easy quest, craft an axe, and turn it in. I run back towards my home, reach my town, run to my house, and go to bed. Day 96. I spend my entire morning doing a dramatic walk around my entire town. When I finish my morning walk, I leave town to do some hunting. I hunt 2 deer, then I hunt 2 boar. While in the forest, my entire town runs out of water. I race back home to try and fix the problem. I make some planks, I make some buckets, fill them all up with water and put them in the storage. After the crisis was averted, I leave town again to continue my hunt. I go around the forest hunting every animal I see. The hunt doesn't last very long, as while killing a rabbit, my bow breaks. I ride back home, and when I get to town, I make a new bow. I leave town again to do a little more hunting, and when the sun starts to set, head back home. I dive into town, roast all the meat I got, have a bath, then head home and go to bed. Day 97. It's now the start of year 9 and a beautiful spring day. I begin the day by doing my usual town repairs. When I'm done fixing the town, I accept a quest, make some copper arrows, and turn it in. Because it's my last spring, I spend some time in photo mode appreciating my town. I think my town looks at its best in spring. I run through my town and stop by at the pigsty to say hi to my piggies. He still looks cute sitting around. I do a bit of parkour and then make some shoes. I leave town to do my last ever selling trip. I go to Gastovia, then Borrower, then Baranica, then Branica, then Tutski, and finish in Pigtown. I start heading home and run into some bandits on the road. I take them out, then take all their stuff. I'm quite lucky because these guys have a lot of loot. After I'd done pillaging, I stop by a town to sell all my contraband. I then head back to my town, jump the fence, and go to bed. Day 98. I wake up to another nice day and have a drink of water. I take a moment to look at my flowers and get inspired to decorate my town. I make some planks and then start placing some barrels. I make some wooden spears for my market to sell and then get to placing more barrels. I place some wicker baskets around my town too, and then get to building some fences. I complete my first fence, then build another and another. I smelt some iron and make more planks, and then craft some new flower pots. They're kind of a waste because they look exactly the same, except for they cost a lot more. I place a bunch around my town anyway and plant some flowers. I make some rye grain so I can craft some animal feed, and then smash my head into the wall. I cook up some meat and have a bath before spending my night sitting by the fire. After winding down for the day, I walk home and then go to bed. Day 99. It's a rainy last day of spring and my second to last day. I make some shoes and then leave my town to go hunting for the last time. I started the hunt by killing some birds and then saved Giuseppe from a rabid wolf. I did quite a bit more hunting in the forest and then ran into some bandits. Luckily, I had the element of surprise, which gave me a big advantage in the fight. I battled with all the bandits, and when I'd taken them out, did some looting, and then went back to hunting. Giuseppe and I ran back home and made it back to town. I roasted some meat, then walked to my house. I cleaned myself off and went to bed for the last time. Day 100. The final day, and it's a beautiful one. The summer sky is bright blue and the sun is beaming down. I begin the season like any other, hammer in hand, repairing my town. When the town repairs were complete, I knew I didn't want to do any more work today. Because today was special. A day of appreciation, a day of thanks. I've had a lot of fun playing this game for the last 100 days. What should I do to make my last day special? I decided to walk through town and thank all my villagers who helped me along the way. Thank you Unimir, thank you Alak, thanks Griselda, Roland, my son Jan, Damroka, Nyrod, Roberta, Wolfram, Otto, Neradka, Dobroa, This Pig, Nadbor, Donkey, Zibigniwa, Erica, Helmet, Motley Boga, Bertold, Maisko, Wiltruda, Lesotho, and everyone else I missed. Thank you all for helping me. This town really has started to feel like home. I've spent so much time just bumming around, I can't help but love it. And there he is, right on cue, my main man, Giuseppe. Thanks for all the rides, old pal. You made my life a lot easier. Giuseppe and I walked through town and decided to get a vantage point on top of the resource storage. I completely messed up the jump a couple of times, but you know how it goes. The third time is the charm. I dismount and we look out together across the horizon. Nothing but my beautiful town in front of me. We really have come far in these 100 days. As Giuseppe and I admire the view together, the sun begins to set. I take one last look at my town and then join my villagers by the fire for my final evening. When the sun is fully set, I get up and begin the walk home. What a peaceful night. I couldn't ask for a better last day. I enter my house, and it's all over. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Don't forget to subscribe. Like it as well if you want. I probably won't make another one of these because it took like a month of my free time. Probably more like 2 months of my free time. But hey, it's finished. It's finished now. It's over. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you want. See you later.